KREF app.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, it's time to get locked into the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
All right, let's get it rolling.
What voice was that?
It's Quagmire from Family Guy.
Oh, is that what that was?
I didn't really do his voice. I just kind of said it in his style. You familiar with Family Guy?
I mean, I know what Family Guy was. I've only seen
That
I
show's
guess
still
is.
running.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right.
That show's been running as long as we've been alive.
No, you're right. I don't know. I never was a big Family Guy guy.
It's hilarious, man.
It is funny. It
took
really
me way too long to come around to Family Guy.
See, because my parents growing up, they didn't let us watch The Simpsons or Family Guy, which, I mean, fair. You find out when you're grown that, probably shouldn't have watched that as a kid. But by the time I was grown, my choice in animated adult comedy was South Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big South Park guy.
All right. Craig from Cleveland says, giggity, giggity, 405-651-3439 if you want to chime in today on the First Liberty Bank text line. Again, 405-651-3439. The show is brought to you today by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Dorsey Jones is family-owned and operated. Many of their employees have been with the company for 20-plus years. They've got friendly, helpful service technicians and advisors that are eager to assist you before, during, and after the buying process. And they won't just set you up with a new vehicle. They'll set you up with phenomenal service once that vehicle is in your possession as well, including half-price oil changes on Saturdays. So, check out Dorsey Jones in El Reno. Grayson, let's start with Keldrid Ben. Keldrid Ben, I would say at this point, many loyalists, many folks who religiously listen to this show, and many folks who follow OU recruiting, even just on a casual basis, are familiar with Keldrid Ben. He is from Montgomery, Texas, class of 2027 running back, committed to Oklahoma late last fall over offers from McNeese and UTSA. Those were his only other two offers at the time. So, you're figuring, well, of course he chose OU over McNeese or UTSA. And many who hadn't actually watched the tape on Keldrid Ben were wondering, is this guy actually any good? Or is this just a Jim Nagy discount rack special? Well, in the months that followed, Keldrid Ben promptly picked up offers from the likes of Oregon and Texas and USC and many of the other top programs across the country. And he started to entertain the advances of said schools. Scheduled a visit to Oregon. Scheduled a visit to Texas. Neither of those visits ever happened, Grayson. And now, despite the fact that Oklahoma's new running backs coach, Deland McCullough, it still hasn't officially been announced on staff, despite the fact that his position coach that he committed to in DeMarco Murray is no longer employed by the university. Keldrid Ben is at the point where he does not feel the need to take any more visits. He told me yesterday for OUinsider.com that he is done flirting with other schools, which that's going to come as good news to this fan base because there had been some serious concern there. DeMarco Murray, for instance, during the contact period we talked about it, he went down to Waco to visit with Lathan Wisenton while all of the noise was circulating that, well, it looks like Oregon might get Keldrid Ben on campus, or Texas, they might get Keldrid Ben on campus. Nope. Never visited Oregon, never visited Texas, and he told me yesterday for OUinsider.com that he is going to take one official visit this summer, and it will be to the University of Oklahoma. Also, another interesting detail he mentioned, he's 5'10". And he's kind of a bowling ball back. He's always been a little bit more on the built end of things. The comp that's been thrown around loosely in the OU offices is Samaje Perine. He's up to 222 pounds.
Yeah, that qualifies as bowling ball.
Mm-hmm. 222 at 5'10".
Talk about a sledgehammer.
And he can run, too. You turn on the tape. You see it. He can run. Is he the fastest guy? No, but neither was Samaje Perine. What Oklahoma loves about Keldrid Ben is that he's physical, he's tough, he's got stamina, and he's the type of dude that's just going to wear a defense out. And that's what Samaje thrived on. It's always so fun to, and every now and again I do this. I go back and I watch the broadcasts melt of that 2014 game where he set the FBS single-game rushing record. And he just, I probably shouldn't be doing this because we're on the radio instead of on some sort of visual medium. But if you can envision my hand up here versus my hand down here. Samaje Perine stayed up here throughout the entirety of the course of that game. Despite the rain, despite the mud, Samaje Perine never lost a step. And as you watch that game back, you can just see Kansas and even everybody else on the Oklahoma side of things just progressively getting more and more worn out by the game and the elements and the circumstances. And Samaje Perine just keeps those legs churning, man. That's what Oklahoma sees in Keldrid Ben, and that's why they're so excited to have him on board here in this 27 cycle.
Yeah, and it's one less that you have to sweat out, too. If you're a fan or media member here, is that I guess we can stop talking about Keldrid Ben, which at that point in the cycle and this point in the calendar usually adds up to a pretty good thing if we don't really have to talk about you that much until we get to the season and we start evaluating your senior tape. So that is one good thing. I will say this. It does speak volumes of Dylan McCullough and the reputation that he has around the country that Keldrid Ben said, nah, I'm good. To Oregon and Texas. I mean, because those are legitimate programs, obviously. But it says a lot about Dylan McCullough, says a lot about Brent Venables, and it says a lot about where Keldrid Ben's heart is. And at this point, I do think we need to start talking about Brent Venables in this respect. If the dude wasn't a football coach, he would have been a hell of a salesman.
Amen to that.
I mean, he got Keldrid Ben to not take offers from Eugene, Oregon, and Austin, Texas. He got Dylan McCullough to come down from the NFL into the much more chaotic college football, much more time-consuming and physically demanding college football. Talked him into doing that. Got to give it up to him, man. Whether it's recruits or building a staff, he's done a hell of a job. I mean, he is one salesman, I'll tell you that.
Convinced Jason Witten to make the leap from being a very successful, very secure head football coach at the high school level in Texas to the FBS level as a position coach at Oklahoma. Yes, Brent Venables is one heck of a salesman. I just thought this was hilarious. Talking to Keldrid Ben yesterday, reflecting on the whole arc of his process and where he came to the realization that he wasn't going to take any other visits is when he had that conversation with Brent Venables during the contact period. Because Brent Venables gave him the same spiel that he gives to every single kid that's committed and takes another visit elsewhere or is entertaining the possibility of taking visits elsewhere. You're going to get the same speech from Brent if you're one of those guys. Hey, this is like a relationship. If we're going to commit to you, you have to commit to us. If you're going to mess around on us and flirt with other people, how do you think I'm going to feel? And Keldrid Ben said, as Brent Venables presented it to him when they met face-to-face, said, Coach Venables told me this is like a marriage. I'm going to ask you to marry me. You're done going on dates with other people. That's what that means. And if you're going to continue to go on dates with other people, what am I supposed to think?
Now, who has made that analogy on this show numerous times?
And Keldrid Ben said, and not everybody would feel this way, but Keldrid Ben was basically like, yeah, you're right. That makes perfect sense. Why would I take other visits if that's the case? I mean, he basically said he had no issue canceling his other visits once he heard that from Brent Venables because it just clicked with him. He's a simple man. Simple kid. Small town Texas. And that's part of the reason, Grayson, why it made sense that he wanted to see other places, because he committed to OU relatively early in his recruitment process. He hadn't seen many of the other top schools across the country. And a kid like that is likely going to want to do that. If you're sitting there in Keldrid Ben's shoes and you've never seen Oregon before, you've never seen the 40 acres, Austin, Texas, Darrell K. Royal Memorial Stadium before, you've never seen the Coliseum at USC, yeah, some part of you is going to be intrigued by that. You're going to be tempted. You're going to have a desire to take those visits. But for Ben, his commitment to Oklahoma supersedes all of that. The Sooner staff is loyal to him. He is loyal to the Oklahoma staff. There was never really much of a question in my mind that he was going to wind up signing with Oklahoma unless OU just dropped him, because he is very loyal and he's expressed that repeatedly. However, I think he wasn't quite on the same page with Oklahoma for a while there about what loyalty actually looks like practically and the extent of the loyalty that Oklahoma wanted from him. But hey, man, now all that was lost in translation has been resolved between the two parties. He's going to have to build a relationship with Dylan McCullough. But for Keldrid Ben, he was committed to Oklahoma for Oklahoma, not for DeMarco Murray. And so that's a guy that you don't have to worry about moving forward.
I'm going to cater to the older portion of our fan base here when I say this, and I do mean it. Tradition does matter. Tradition still does matter. And when you, very few places divert from what they have historically been good at. And at the University of Oklahoma, you've had excellent running play throughout the entirety of the history of college football. So if you're talking about a situation where you are committing to Oklahoma for Oklahoma and not just as head coach, you're basically saying, hey, it's Oklahoma. They'll figure it out when it comes to running back. They'll figure it out. And they're not going to move that far away from trying to, the running game has sucked the last couple of years. The entire offense was bad in 2024 anyway. But they're not going to try to have this be a trend that stacks years on top of years on top of years. I'm going to go to a place that's known for this. We'll figure it out once we get there.
Evan from Blanchard said, meanwhile, you two jokers said you'd take 5 officials. Keldrid Ben, greater than sign, Thune and Grayson.
Okay, so here's my thing.
I'll be real. I wouldn't have committed in the first place.
Bingo.
You're committed, you're committed. Listen, I wouldn't have committed until the OVs were done.
Exactly. That's what I would have done too.
But yeah, I'd absolutely, if I was going through the process, I'm taking all 5 officials.
You bet.
No doubt. It would have been really, really interesting. It would have been interesting back in the day if, when a lot of those recruitments still stretched into December, January, February of these kids' senior years before they made a decision, if we had the unlimited official visit provision back then.
Oh, boy.
Because, of course, back then you could only take 5.
Right.
And it was only, I believe in 2024, that the NCAA loosened up a little bit on those regulations and said, no, you can take as many official visits as you want. You're just limited to 1 per school. I wonder how crazy it would have been to cover recruiting in like the early mid-2000s if all of those guys could take unlimited official visits.
Now, I will say this. It would have been a lot easier for you to know who was really in that Final 5.
Maybe, but what if they took like 12 official visits?
That's true. Oh, I'm talking about under the old rules, though. Under the old rules, it was easier.
Yes.
I feel like the term official visit has been slightly diluted.
It definitely has because, I mean, I'll keep it a buck. A lot of schools cover expenses for unofficial visits these days.
I want to know what portion of our fan base believed that they actually didn't.
That's been going on for a while. It's been going on for a while some places. Hasn't been going on for all that long at other places, but it's been going on. And these days, it happens a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Because if you so much as want to take your shot at some of these blue chip kids, whether it's them or their parents or their agents, They're going to want some level of investment up front to know that you're serious.
Mm-hmm.
So unofficial visits, I mean, there are certain places where purely unofficial visits really don't even exist anymore. Outside of like the local kids that are within driving distance, and it doesn't cost them anything to show up anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're visiting from out of state, a lot of places, by the letter of the law, as far as the public is concerned, you're taking an unofficial visit, but in actuality, it's an official visit type of setup in that all of your expenses are covered.
And they probably give you the official visit treatment, too.
Yeah, they do. I mean, you can't do the photo shoot, I don't think. You can only do that on OVs these days.
They're legislating photo shoots?
Yes, and that was mostly, I think the reason that the NCAA passed that provision was because university creative departments were so overloaded. Because what would happen is, if you have 100 kids coming in on a junior day, you have 100 kids doing a photo shoot in the jersey. And the creatives would be bogged down for weeks after the fact, editing those photos and getting them out to the recruits. And so it was much to those folks' relief when the NCAA said, yeah, the photo shoots are no longer legal unless you're on an official visit. You can't wear the uniform until you're on the OV. 405-651-3439 is the First Liberty Bank text line, folks. We are just getting started on today's installment of Locked In. Coming up next, how's Oklahoma going to navigate recruiting the wide receiver position in the 2027 cycle? Some interesting subplots there that are emerging. Keep it right here on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. We'll tackle that coming up next.
Locked In is brought to you every day by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Dorsey Jones GMC is family-owned and operated with a knowledgeable, low-pressure sales staff here to help you through the buying process and half-price oil changes on Saturdays. Visit dorsey-jonesgmc.com for more information.
Flowers are nice, but a new 2025 Ford Explorer Active is a 3-row SUV built for everyday adventures you'll love, with comfort, smart tech, and space for everything that matters the most. Save $15,000 or purchase at 2.9% APR at Confidence Ford of Norman. And when it's time for service, trust our top-rated service center and Ford-certified master technicians. Come visit us today at 825 North Interstate Drive or visit us online. Confidence Ford of Norman, a Cavender family dealership where confidence is Cavender.
Right here in our backyard, sellers trust Purple Wave Auction to move their equipment. From excavators and ag equipment to trucks and specialty trailers, our no-reserve online auctions help local sellers turn iron into opportunity. You get a dedicated territory manager who knows your operation, your market, and your timeline, backed by nationwide buyer demand. Local service, national reach, real results. See why more sellers choose Purple Wave. Visit purplewave.com to get started today.
A happy place comes in many colors. One that leaves you feeling refreshed. Something that gets you all fired up. Or gives you the space to chill. Whatever your color, bring happiness home with CertaPro Painters and make your happy place your home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Get started today at CertaPro.com. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Are you ready for spring sports season? Gear up like a champion with Balfour & Norman's exclusive apparel for OU softball, baseball, and gymnastics. From the diamond to the gym, we've got the latest shirts, hats, and fan gear that show your Sooner pride in style. Whether you're cheering in the stands or repping your team around town, Balfour of Norman has you covered. Visit us today on Campus Corner or online at crimsonproud.com. Balfour of Norman, where you'll find everything Sooner.
The big dance and big-time prizes are almost here from the home of Sooner fans. Mark your calendars on Monday, March 16th for the Refs' 25th annual 68-team giveaway at the newly renovated Buffalo Wild Wings in Moore off 19th Street from noon to 7 for your chance to win with the big dance or one of our many instant prizes. That's the Refs' 25th annual 68-team giveaway presented by Riverwind Casino, the Central Oklahoma GMC dealers, and Buffalo Wild Wings on Monday, March 16th.
Insurance companies aren't in the business of saving you money. They're in the business of taking your money. Hi, this is Will Gosney with Yalla Gosney Attorneys at Law. Have you ever had an insurance claim and thought, wow, I really am in good hands, or these folks truly are treating me like a neighbor? Well, that's where we can help. We'll deal with the stress. We'll get you back to your normal life. So save our number in your phone, and if you're ever hurt in a wreck, call or text us at 405-800-8080. It's 405-800-8080.
Hi Norman, it's DJ Newsom with Alliance Bank, your community-driven, friendly neighborhood bank. Whether you're a budding entrepreneur, lead a nonprofit organization, or just someone seeking a better banking experience, we've got you covered. From business to personal banking, we tailor our services to suit everyone's needs. We believe in making banking easy and enjoyable. Visit our Norman location or call us today at 405-286-5750. Alliance Bank, banking tailored to your needs. Member FDIC.
It's Ram Truck Month here at Lander CDJR of Norman with America's best 10-year, 100,000-mile truck warranty. Take up to $17,000 off of MSRP on select new 2026 Ram 1500 Laramies in stock, or get $12,000 off of MSRP on new 2026 Ram 2500 Crew Cab Tradesman. And always get straightforward internet pricing with no special add-ons when you get here. Ram 1500 stock number TN179216, Ram 2500 stock number TG168925.
I want to play together again, buddy. So said four-star Mobile, Alabama safety Jalen Scott on Twitter.com today. And at the tail end of that tweet, he tagged none other than his childhood friend, Jameson Roberts, Oklahoma's lone quarterback target in the 2027 class. Those two are scheduled to visit Oklahoma again on March 7th. And I think there are very strong odds, Grayson Singleton, as we've discussed, that those two are Sooners not long after that date, or potentially on that date. We shall see. But another notable detail with regard to Jameson Roberts is that the recruiting industry is starting to come around on him. Obviously, he has long held a mid-tier, or I should say a mid to high 3-star rating from Rivals. He's a 3-star 88. 89 is the highest you can get before you creep into 4-star territory, that is. So Rivals has him listed as a 3-star 88, the number 27 quarterback in the country. I expect him to rise in next week's rankings update at Rivals. 24/7 has labeled him a 3-star 89 and the number 21 quarterback in the nation. How about ESPN, though? ESPN recently ranked Jameson Roberts number 229 overall in the country, regardless of position, and the nation's number 6 quarterback. So we foresaw this, right? It wasn't hard to foresee when a kid like that, with measurables like he has and mobility like he has, winds up accounting for 58 total touchdowns and I believe over 4,500 total yards as a junior in high school.
And in his first year as a starter.
And in his first year as a starter, yes. So it's not as if Jameson Roberts is a guy that has had extended exposure to the folks in the evaluation, scouting end of the industry for a certain length of time that would put him already in the upper echelon of quarterback prospects across the country. But with guys like this that perform the way that he did, especially when they break through a little bit later in their high school careers as he did as a junior at Saraland High, they're going to get their due eventually, even if it's not on the same timetable as some of their predecessors, or I should say some of their peers that are more ahead of the curve when it comes to getting starting opportunities, guys that are starting as freshmen and sophomores in high school. By the way, I kid you not, 10 seconds ago, I received a text message from none other than Jameson Roberts. So I'm going to break a little bit of news right here on these airwaves. You guys will be the first to know. Jameson Roberts has scheduled his Oklahoma official visit. He will be in town for the Champ U Barbecue, June 12th through the 14th. Do what you will with that. Pretty good sign.
You would think. You would imagine. Hey, we got an interesting question on the YouTube chat.
Yeah, what do you got?
KREF Sports on YouTube is where you can find Parker and I. Mark says, yes, BV is loyal to his commits unless you are, and I'm going to stop there. You want to guess where he's going with this?
Unless you are.
Blank.
No, where's he going with this?
Jaden O'Neal.
Oh.
What happened to that engagement?
You know, this is another thing that I think is worth mentioning with the Jameson Roberts recruitment. It's been a couple years since we had a drama-free cycle between Oklahoma and their quarterback target or targets. Oklahoma locked down Michael Hawkins without incident in the 24 cycle. He had one of my favorite commitment ceremonies of all time because there was literally one hat on the table. It was the OU hat. It was very straightforward. But in 2025, of course, we had the whole will he, won't he for months and months and months with Kevin Sperry, who was committed. Like, is he going to stick or is he not? And then, of course, he winds up flipping to Florida State a week and a half before signing day, and Oklahoma grabs Jet New right after Ben Arbuckle gets to town. 2026, you had the whole Jaden O'Neal, Bo Bentley soap opera. And it was a soap opera.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I would say Oklahoma wasn't loyal to Jaden O'Neal. Keep in mind, at no point in time did Oklahoma tell Jaden O'Neal, we're not taking your commitment. At no point did they tell Jaden O'Neal, we're moving on from you. If we rewind a year to the spring of 2025, Oklahoma went in home with Jaden O'Neal on several occasions to convince him that he still belonged at OU and to maintain the relationship with him and his family. The plan was that they were going to take two quarterbacks. If it came to it and Bo Bentley wanted to come to Oklahoma, they were going to take Bo Bentley, but they were not going to push Jaden O'Neal out. Jaden O'Neal made that decision on his own to walk away from the OU class and to ultimately sign with Florida State. Made sense for him. Bo Bentley got what he wanted out of the deal. He gets to play quarterback at his dream school. Jaden O'Neal's perfectly content with the fit in Tallahassee.
And here's the other part of the equation, too, is that O'Neal was recruited originally by Seth Luttrell. Yeah. And Seth Luttrell told him that you're my quarterback, you're going to be the only one. And Ben Arbuckle came to town, and when the new guy came, there were different terms of the agreement.
Ain't no doubt. Ben Arbuckle is by no means beholden to promises that Seth Luttrell made.
Nope.
On behalf of Seth Luttrell.
Not at all.
Outlaw Devil says, will Dylan McCullough continue to pursue backs that he had recruited at Notre Dame, or will he scout others that fit in Arbuckle's scheme more? Well, I think it's worth pointing out here, Outlaw Devil, that as it stands, Dylan McCullough is not going to have to recruit in the 2027 cycle at all. At all. As long as Keldrid Ben stays committed, and as of right now, his only OV scheduled is to OU. As long as Jackson Stokes stays committed, similarly, his only OV scheduled right now is to OU. He has no work to do other than just building and maintaining the relationship with those two guys and making sure they don't bounce out on him. So we won't get to see Dylan McCullough's chops as a recruiter until the 2028 cycle. And we're going to see him either way because, yes, he has a commit right now in Micah Rhodes. He's going to have to re-recruit Micah Rhodes. Whether Micah Rhodes decommits or not, Dylan McCullough is going to have to re-recruit him. He's going to have to resell him on Oklahoma being the right fit because Micah Rhodes loves Oklahoma, but it's really not hard to tell when you hear that kid or heard that kid talk about the reasons that he committed to Oklahoma. The A1 reason was the opportunity to play for DeMarco Murray and to learn under somebody who himself had been so great at the position. So there will be a re-recruitment process that needs to happen with Rhodes, whether or not he chooses to decommit or whether or not he chooses to remain pledged to the Sooners. Make sense, Outlaw Devil? Tracking with me there. Just want to make sure we're all clear. Going to have to re-recruit Micah Rhodes. He may decommit, he may not. Either way, you're going to have to re-recruit him. I can recall having a similar conversation with Ben Arbuckle and Jaden O'Neal when Arbuckle got to town. Like, hey, that's Seth Luttrell's guy. Right? Micah Rhodes was DeMarco Murray's guy. Doesn't mean he doesn't ultimately choose to play for Dylan McCullough, but you yourself have to give him reasons. You yourself are going to have to sell him on playing not just for Oklahoma, but on playing for you.
Michael and Marlowe on the First Liberty Bank text line. Last time teammates that played safety and QB that committed to Oklahoma didn't work out well on one side.
Who's that in reference to?
Jackson Arnold and Peyton Bowen.
Oh, that's right. I'm an idiot. It didn't work out well on one side. Again, I told you the week of Valentine's Day, all the reasons why you can still kind of sense Jackson Arnold's impact on Oklahoma, even if it didn't really pan out for him. But, man, like Peyton Bowen did pan out. Peyton Bowen did work out.
Took him a minute.
It did, but he got there, man. That injury-plagued sophomore year kind of, I think, tempered Peyton Bowen expectations for many people. But both he and his brother, man, the Bowen brothers, they're not here right now, if not for Jackson Arnold. So, did it work out well for everyone involved? No. But did it work out well for Oklahoma? I would say so. On the whole, I would say it worked out.
Outlaw Devil says that your answer was very good and that it satiated him.
Good to hear, Outlaw Devil. What else do I want to get to this segment? I had something else in the chute, and now I can't remember what it was. Oh, yes, wide receivers. Let's talk about the wide receiver position. Let's talk about wide receiver recruiting in 2027. Oklahoma tossed out another wide receiver offer today in the 2027 class. And no doubt there are some wondering, why? Why is Oklahoma still offering wide receivers? Earlier today, they offered Kyron Brown, talented wide receiver prospect out of Amarillo, Texas, about 4 hours west on I-40. I believe outside of Texas Tech, Oklahoma is the school that's geographically closest to Amarillo. So, if Oklahoma gives Kyron Brown the green light to go ahead and commit at any point, you would think they're going to be a strong contender for his pledge, but it's going to come down to how hard they press, and that's what I want to underscore here, Grayson. Because the Sooners have 2 receiver commits. Damari DeJean from the state of California, Trayvon Hall from the state of Alabama. It is well known and documented that they are in ardent pursuit of Graydon Howell out of Broken Bow as a wide receiver. They will take Graydon Howell no matter what. There is a spot for Graydon Howell in this class. His official visit is scheduled. He will be on campus next month for Future Freaks. They're going all in for Graydon Howell. But with regard to Damari DeJean and Trayvon Hall, there have been very public flirtations between those two and other programs. And in talking to sources close to the program about those 2 situations, first off, there's not necessarily an expectation that either one of them is going to wind up decommitting. They don't expect to lose Damari DeJean. They don't expect to lose Trayvon Hall. Matter of fact, they actually feel pretty good about their odds long-term to retain Trayvon Hall's commitment. But here's the thing, man. At a certain point, they're going to have that conversation that Brent Venables had with Keldrid Ben. And they're going to have that conversation with Damari DeJean and Trayvon Hall. Like at a certain point, I don't know when it's going to be. I don't know what it's going to take for them to get there with those guys.
Yeah.
Because Damari DeJean only just visited UCLA in late January. That was the very first visit he took anywhere else other than Oklahoma. But as I mentioned yesterday, strong possibility that he OVs elsewhere this summer. And so at a certain point, I would stop short of calling it an ultimatum, but there's going to be a message sent from the Oklahoma side to those 2 that, like, if you want to stick with us, cancel these other visits. Otherwise, we're going to recruit for your spot. And we're going to start pushing for someone to fill your spot. And that right there is the dynamic that is worth noting. Oklahoma has offered a bunch of receivers over the last month. They haven't really started pushing for any of them outside of Graydon Howell.
This is in no disrespect to Keldrid Ben, who is a great prospect, and I'm pretty sure you know where I'm going here, Parker. It's one thing to have that conversation with a 3-star Keldrid Ben. It is another thing to have it with a top 150 player, Damari DeJean.
Who is one of the fastest prospects in America.
Correct. And hails from the state of California as well. Small town Texas, state of California. Top 150 player. 3-star who just popped because Oklahoma offered him. Remember that part, too, is that Oklahoma offered him, got him committed over McNeese State. These are two very different situations. And, yes, the same conversation is going to have to be had, but the question for me is, will it land, and will it land as readily with a guy with the accolades of a Damari DeJearn as it did with Keldrid Ben? That, to me, is going to be the interesting thing in all of this, is that can you play the same game and go with the same formula with a guy of Damari DeJearn status as you did with Keldrid Ben? And I've got no doubt that, they got some shrewd guys in the building. They can figure out how to approach it in the appropriate way, but it's going to have to be different because I'm pretty sure you can't go to a 4-star with damn near an ultimatum and say, hey, yo, you stop taking visits or you're dropping out of here. Dude's going to force your hand. At some point, they might force your hand. So you got to approach it a little bit differently.
Well, and Oklahoma's really in the catbird seat here because think about this, and we can draw a parallel back to the 2026 cycle as well. At the University of Oklahoma, it's never going to be a struggle to recruit wide receivers. At least it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And so let's say worst-case scenario, absolute worst-case scenario, both Damari DeJearn and Trayvon Hall wind up committing to other schools. Is Oklahoma up a creek at that point? Not remotely. Because if we can turn the clock back to last July, do you remember the freak out that was occurring on the First Liberty Bank text line and on the message boards and on social media and everywhere about the ineptitude of Oklahoma's wide receiver recruiting in the 26 class? Daniel Odom was committed, and they had whiffed on everybody else. They had whiffed on Dallas Dickerson, who went to Kentucky. They had whiffed on Davian Gross, who went to Florida. At the time, they had whiffed on Jaden Petit, who had chosen Wisconsin.
Yep.
They had whiffed on Craig Dandridge, who chose Georgia. There were others that are not. Jordan Clay. Jordan Clay chose Baylor, wound up signing with Washington over Oklahoma. It had been whiff after whiff after whiff after whiff after whiff. And there was zero panic inside the Switzer Center. You know why? Because they understood two things. One, this is Oklahoma. We're going to be able to find wide receivers that want to come play here. And two, we're going to win games this fall. And when we win games, that will move the needle.
And three, there's a surplus of wide receiver talent as well.
That there is. There are a lot of good wide receiver prospects.
Like, if you keep whiffing on quarterbacks, okay, now we might have to have a different conversation.
Then you're running into a bit of a crunch.
We're having a little bit of a problem here for whiffing on quarterbacks. But if you're whiffing on wide receivers, I don't want to say they're a dime a dozen because I don't want to be disrespectful because these are good players. But there's ample people who can run fast, catch the ball, and have a college-ready frame.
Generally, you have a deeper pool at wide receiver
Correct.
than you do at many other positions.
Absolutely.
And what happened in the fall? Guess what? Oklahoma won double-digit games. They snagged an in-state sleeper in Xavier Okafuleze.
Mm-hmm.
Jasir Rogers decommitted from Penn State. There was no relationship there at all.
They did get a stimulus because James Franklin was fired.
That they did. OU and Jasir Rogers had never been in contact with one another.
Mm-hmm.
And in the span of 3 weeks, he was fully locked into the class. Canceled all his other visits to commit to the Sooners. And then at the end, there's one little surprise left beneath the tree in the form of Jaden Petit flipping his commitment from Wisconsin. So, I do not get the sense at all that Oklahoma is all too worried about what the outcome is going to be with Damari DeJearn and Trayvon Hall. Obviously, they would love to sign both of those guys. They would love it if both of those guys wound up in the class and had the desire to put pen to paper for Oklahoma in December. But if that is not the case, they will move on down the line. And odds are they will be just fine. All right, folks, 405-651-3439 is the First Liberty Bank text line. Hit us up with questions, comments, opinions, any and all of the above. We have one final segment to come. This is The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Keep it right here.
A true Sooner fan wouldn't be caught dead without the KREF app. Join the Army. Get the app. Tell your friends. This is The Ref, where diehard Sooner fans listen.
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits.
And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations. So you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
Do you like to stand out in a crowd while wearing the best in OU apparel? The Jimmy Austin Pro Shop carries the best brands you can wear to work or even dress up events. Lines such as Lululemon, Travis Mathew, FootJoy, Greg Norman, Grayson, or Turtleson with the OU and Jimmy Austin logo are sure to catch everyone's eye. You don't have to be a golfer to shop at Jimmy Austin. They also do corporate special orders for you and your company. Call them today, 405-325-6716, or visit theougolfclub.com for more information.
Entrepreneurs and Moore Norman in South Oklahoma City have an experienced business partner in their neighborhood. Moore Norman Technology Center's workforce and economic development team understands the challenges entrepreneurs and small businesses face every day. From building an effective business model to hiring the right employees and managing cash flow, Moore Norman's business development experts can help you move forward confidently and thrive, knowing that you have a skilled partner at your side. Learn more about Moore Norman's Technology Center by calling 405-801-5000 or visit us online at mntc.edu.
Hey there, Ref Army, it's Dorinoka, name coming up. Host of the Dorinoka Show and lead anchor of the SEC Network. Catch Josh Helmer and myself every weekday, 9 to noon, as we'll talk everything OU and the SEC. No better way to listen to us, 9 to noon, than by downloading the KREF app, powered by Warren Cat. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store, search for KREF, and you'll never miss a show, no matter what, no matter where you go. That's the KREF app, presented by Warren Cat. Whatever the job, whatever it takes.
When it comes to buying a home, you need a winning game plan. At Stride Bank, our mortgage team helps you get from kickoff to closing with competitive rates, local expertise, and personalized service. Whether it's your first home or your forever home, we'll be right there on the field with you. Learn more at stridebank.com. Stride Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Stride Bank on your team since 1913 with Oklahoma roots and nationwide reach.
Feeling stuck in your current home? Now is the best time to make a move. Home Creations is making home ownership more affordable with low interest rate opportunities and special financing. Don't wait. Live like a champion today. Call Holly at 405-364-9999 to find your dream home.
364-9999 is Home Creations.
Imagine a backyard designed just for you. With Signature Custom Pools, luxury meets craftsmanship to create your outdoor retreat. Every detail is tailored to elevate your lifestyle. Whether you're celebrating special occasions, making lifelong memories, or escaping to a quiet oasis, their experienced design team brings your vision to life. Plan now so you can be swimming and making memories soon. Call 405-898-9098 for your free consultation or visit signaturecustompools.com. Signature Custom Pools. Experience the signature touch.
At Oklahoma Electric Cooperative, we value service, not profits. That's why we want to help you save on energy costs this winter. Here are a few tips. First, open curtains on your home's south-facing windows during the day and use the sun's heat for free. Second, seal leaky doors and windows using low-cost caulking or weather stripping. And third, be sure to keep the fireplace damper closed unless a fire is burning. Visit okcoop.org for more ways to save this winter.
Final segment of Locked In here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. 405-651-3439 is the First Liberty Bank text line if you want to make your voice heard. Outlaw Devil says, just wanted to say I'm a daily listener and look forward to my hour of Locked In. Thank you, Parker and Grayson. You're the best. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you, homie.
We appreciate and love. I'm doing the heart hands for you, Outlaw Devil. You can't see it, but I'm doing it. Glad to have all of you that come along for the ride every single afternoon here on the Ref. Look, covering recruiting is hard. It really is. You're dealing with the emotions and the whims of not only 16 and 17-year-old kids, but their parents, their agents, their uncles.
I was about to
There's
say, where's
always
the
an uncle?
I'll say, where's the uncle?
There's always an uncle, but sometimes I'm a little bit too positive, optimistic. Sometimes I'm a little bit too pessimistic, but I do my best to shoot y'all straight. And I bring that up because we had talked about it last week. The fact that I wasn't really getting much of an OU vibe in the recruitment of Trey Moore, the 4-star wide receiver from the Austin area whose father, Eric, played quarterback here. So he's an OU legacy. And indeed, he just cut his list to 5 schools today. The University of Oklahoma is not one of those 5 schools. His finalists are Texas A&M, LSU, Miami, Texas, and Washington. So,
Miami.
The legacy factor doesn't always mean as much as many imagine it would in a case like that. But as we also discussed, it probably makes a little bit more sense when you consider that his dad played at Oklahoma in the dark ages. He was Howard Schnellenberger's starting quarterback.
Oh.
Yeah. It wasn't as if he has fond memories of being on the electrifying OU football programs that were packing out stadiums and winning big games with national championship and Big 12 championship implications. No, he was at OU for the Schnelly year and for a couple of the John Blake years as well, which was about as low as this program has gotten in the last half century. Maybe the last century. I don't know. I wasn't around for like the 40s, 50s, 60s, but there was Bud Wilkinson and there was Barry Switzer. So there were a few head coaches in between in the 60s. I don't really remember how all of them fared. But a 580 listener says, no man should ever give another man hard hands, even if he can't see them. #manlaw. Hey, listen, I'm secure in my masculinity. So is Grayson. He did the hard hands too. As long as you're secure in your masculinity and I'm secure in mine, there's no problem here. There's no problem here. Taylor in Owasso says, speaking of Xavier Okafuleze, I've watched his football games and just watched him play basketball Tuesday night since my kids also go to Rejoice. He's dang good. 6'4" and can jump out of the building. Watched him dunk several times and throw down an alley-oop. Plus, he was playing against Bartlesville in 6A, so it's not like he played against no talent. Really makes me super excited to see what he can do in football at OU.
It would have been interesting to see what his basketball offer sheet looked like. Because watching him play basketball, he looks more like a natural basketball player. He's obviously built more naturally for basketball as well.
Yes.
Like that, I mean, that's an undeniable fact.
A little bit narrow.
Yeah, he is. Yes, he's gonna have to put on. I saw the exact same highlight too, from that game. He's gonna have to put on. He's gonna have to fill out that frame a little bit. But I would have been curious to see what his basketball prospects would have looked like because he looks like a natural hooper.
He's a good athlete, man, and you're right. He is a little bit more of a natural hooper than a natural football player. He is one of those guys. I think you have athletes and you have football players. Mm-hmm. And there's not necessarily a wrong or a right between the two. But with the guys who fall more into the athlete camp, you gotta teach them football a little bit more. You gotta cultivate the football player side of them. And that's what Xavier Okafuleze needs, and that's what he'll get at Oklahoma. He's more than likely a guy who redshirts in year 1 and sees sporadic action in year 2. Year 3 is where a guy like that has the opportunity to make a jump. And I don't want to make a Taylor Wine comparison because that's putting really lofty expectations on anybody with the type of explosion that Taylor Wine had in 2025. But it was kind of the same deal with Taylor Wine.
Yeah.
Now, he was a football player as opposed to an athlete, but he was the type of football player that wasn't all over radars when he was a sophomore, junior in high school. He didn't start picking up scholarship offers at the FBS level until his senior year. And so when you get a guy that's a little bit more of a late comer on the scene like that and blossomed a little bit later than many of his peers, it's going to take a year. It's probably going to take 2. But when you have somebody with Okafuleze's level of athleticism and just the natural bounce that he has, yeah, he's going to be a fun piece at wide receiver, provided he buys in and polishes the technique and gets stronger and does all those things that he needs to do to round his game into form over the next couple of years.
3-star Craig in Cleveland says, I was in school with Eric Moore. The way we treated him, I don't blame the kid.
Really? Yeah, my parents were at OU about that time.
Say, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, they were here for the Schnelly year, and it was a weird year.
Oh, your parents are OU alums?
They are.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Brian Bigsby says, as someone who went to school during the Dark Ages, Eric Moore's progeny isn't a great loss. Gee, I wonder why Trey Moore didn't want to come to OU.
I know, right?
Sheesh.
Those two texts got to go hand in hand, don't they?
Oh, good grief. They do.
Taylor from Owasso says, Camion Compton-Nero, also damn good at basketball and football, especially as only a sophomore. Camion Compton-Nero is more naturally a football player.
Mm-hmm.
He also is an incredible athlete.
Yeah. Top 100 kid in the 28 cycle.
He is uber impressive.
Gunny says that was our dark decade, the 90s. It was a great decade to grow into a teenager, except for being an OU fan until 99. Yeah. Jim in Arlington wanted to know, did Oklahoma even reach out to the legacy kid? Yeah, they were recruiting Trey Moore really hard.
Yes.
For quite a while. This stretches back almost 2 years, I want to say. They've been recruiting that kid devotedly for quite some time. Visited with him in the contact period. They tried to make it work, but he had his sights set elsewhere. And sometimes that's what kids do. What was it? What did I say? LSU, Miami, Washington, A&M, and Texas?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I'm kind of surprised that Washington is in so many of these big-time recruitments in the 27 cycle. And I guess they're not that far removed from playing for a national title. They were the national runner-ups in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
But even so, when you're rattling off the top 15, 20 programs in the country, if you're throwing Washington on that list, they're at the very tail end of that list. But even so, man, I mean, that's a school that made a play into the state of Oklahoma last year to come snag Mason James from Norman North after things kind of fell out between him and Oklahoma. And they're right there in the thick of it for Zane Rowe as well. And so Washington, Jed Fish and the Huskies. They landed Jordan Clay, as we mentioned, flipped him from Baylor.
Does it say more about Jed Fish?
There are a lot of people, man, that really, really like Jed Fish's offense.
No, I agree. That's what I'm saying because, I mean, not only is Washington far, but Washington is, so geographically isolated. They're in Seattle. They don't play a whole lot of primetime games. That's got to say something about Jed Fish because he's kind of playing from behind when it comes to certain things.
Taylor and Owasso wanted to know what are the odds OU can land Camion Compton-Nero. I'd be surprised if they didn't.
Yes.
He's a big, big OU guy. OU lean right now, certainly. Outlaw Devil says, Parker's a legacy? Who'd have thunk? Yes, indeed. Sooner born, sooner bred, as they say. Jim in Arlington adds, tar Steven Alexander. Oh, okay. It appears it was just a typo. I was like, no, we don't have to tar Steven Alexander just because his two kids don't want to come to Oklahoma. They can make their own decisions. But I think what he meant to say was tight end Steven Alexander was also a 90s OU player. And, yes, another guy that played at OU in that era and whose older son chose Iowa State over Oklahoma and whose younger son is probably going to choose Penn State over Oklahoma.
That one typo just changed the complete tenor of that text.
It's like, sheesh, Jim. Jim declared war on Steven Alexander.
I'm going to say, we going back to colonial days, tar and feathering people.
Chickasha's own Steven Alexander. Under siege. Dan in Madison, Mississippi adds, yeah, Eric Moore sucked. He shouldn't have been playing in front of Justin Fuente anyway. Dang, man.
Jeez. Brian from Maryland says Eric Moore almost died that season we played at OSU when he slid headfirst into the close walls near the sideline.
Man, those are like borderline hazardous.
No, they really are.
Those might just be outright hazardous.
No, they are about as hazardous as that unpadded wall that Keontez Lewis slammed himself into.
And what's it going to take for them to expand the sidelines a little
I
bit
don't
in still
know.
water?
I don't know. That was like one of the first things I ever noticed when I went to my first football game at Boone Pickens was, why are the sidelines so tight?
It feels like being down in the ring at a rodeo, man.
Exactly. Yes. It's a really good way of putting it.
Brady from Kansas says, how many 2026 enrollees didn't enroll early and participate in spring ball? There are 3, Brady. Oh, let me think here. Xavier Okafaleze is obviously one. There are 2 others, and they are not coming to mind right now. There are 3, and only 3. Well, I guess 4 because LeBron Bauer doesn't get here until June. But there were 3 from that December signing class in addition to LeBron Bauer. So 22 out of the 26, or no, it's 25. 21 out of the 25 are here early. going through practices, or not practices, but going through workouts, going through testing. And by all accounts, if you can say nothing else about this group, what you can say so far is that Jim Nagy and his front office, they found supreme athletes. Supreme athletes don't always equal supreme football players, but the athleticism of these guys has really, really turned heads in that building in an overall sense.
Outlaw Devil says Seattle is a prime city. I think Seattle's pretty cool. It is isolated, though.
I've never been to the Pacific Northwest.
I would like to go.
I guess
I've heard good things.
I went to Eugene. Oregon last spring, but that's it. I want to spend more time in the Pacific Northwest. Feels like a nice place.
I agree.
All right, folks, we're done here. We're done for this Thursday. We're going to turn it over to Tyler and Ted coming up next. The Rush kicks off on the other side. He's Grayson Singleton. I'm Parker Thune.